Good evening, Oswego, and welcome to The Real Deal, your source for spoiler-free movie reviews. I'm Brandon Macy.
I'm Connor Brennan.
And I'm Nathaniel Ahart.
After 21 MCU films spanning 11 years among 3 phases, all from the mind of the incredible Stan Lee, it all comes down to this: the 22nd installment in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Avengers Endgame. This movie is already setting box office records. I'm excited to talk about this film. You guys are excited to talk about this film. Let's not waste any more time. Play the trailer. Let's get this show on the road.
I saw all these people die. I keep telling everybody they should move on. Some do, but not us.
Even if there's a small chance, we owe this to everyone who's not in this room to try.
We're not going to spoil anything from Endgame, but if you haven't seen Infinity War yet, you might want to change the channel. This film made me very emotional, and I'm sure it made a lot of Marvel lovers emotional as well. So, I decided to hit the streets of SUNY Oswego and see what people thought about Avengers Endgame. Roll the clip. Have you seen Avengers Endgame?
Yes, I have.
And what did you think?
I'm speechless.
I loved it. It was so good. I think it was a really good ending for it all.
It was amazing.
What was your favorite part about Endgame?
I can't tell you because it's a spoiler.
I liked when Captain America. That was pretty cool.
I thought it was pretty good. Kind of a bummer, though.
Why do you say that?
Because spoiler things that happen. Let's just say that.
I liked when they, at the end, when they all. That was a good one, too.
Like the part where that was a little weird, but it was also really funny.
How would you rank this among the rest of the MCU films?
Best. Yeah, it's gotta be number 1. Gotta be number 1.
I would say this is number 1.
Who's your favorite Avenger?
Oof. Probably Thor.
Definitely Iron Man. And then Black Panther's a close second, though.
The first Avenger movie I've seen in the series was Iron Man, so I have to go with Iron Man by default.
Thor.
I've always been a Hulk guy. I will live and die a Hulk guy.
Iron Man all the way. Iron Man all the way.
I would say it's Thor, but this movie kind of changed my mind a little. I think I'm kind of leaning towards Captain America.
Would you recommend Avengers Endgame to your friends?
Yes, I would.
Absolutely. If you don't see it, I don't trust you.
I recommend to people who aren't my friends. I recommend it to the world.
I'd see it with a stranger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go see it if you haven't already. I mean, it's about time. You're gonna get things spoiled for you, so if you want to go see it, go see it.
People love to talk about Avengers Endgame. So, guys, in one word, how do you describe Endgame?
Monumental.
Unbelievable.
For me, I have to say avenging.
Avenging?
I don't know if that makes sense, but it fits with the whole Avengers theme.
Yeah,
like
I
it makes up
guess.
for every horrible MCU film we've seen. You know,
Well,
that exists.
Yeah, because like all of this payoff, like all the movies that were mediocre before, because let's face it, there are a few like Thor: The Dark World that aren't that good.
Worst offender.
But there seems like that was for a reason now, you know,
In
to
a
get
way,
to this big payoff.
And I gotta say, like, I'm not one to get emotional in many films, besides like Toy Story 3, It's a Wonderful Life and all that. This film had me sobbing. Like, I sobbed like 3 times, at least the first time I watched. The second time I didn't. But maybe it was because I knew what to expect.
Well, way to open up, Nathaniel.
Yeah.
I mean,
Marvel
I gotta
tends
admit
to be very consistent with the looks of their films. 11 years have passed since the release of Iron Man, and lots of new technology has been added since then. So, let's talk about all of this in our review of the production design. So one thing I want to talk about right off the bat, this applies to both Infinity War and Endgame. The disintegration effect looks really cool. One thing that doesn't make sense, though, is why do their clothes disintegrate with them?
I mean, I don't know.
It's honestly not something I think about. Like, comic book logic doesn't always follow real world logic. I mean, if comic book logic followed real world logic, you wouldn't have people getting these powers.
And plus, it's like, if it followed that logic, then wouldn't have Thanos' snap in Infinity War also wiped out half of the bacteria?
Yeah, basically.
Never thought
he
about
said
that.
50% of life. I think that includes bacteria
And
as
trees,
well.
yeah.
And trees. So yeah, you're gonna get less oxygen. So how are the people breathing in the world?
Well, I mean, if it was less people, then it would be more manageable for like the trees to give enough oxygen.
I mean, I guess that makes sense, but also I think the atmosphere would be hotter too, because then there's less trees absorbing all of the CO2.
I think the way they explain it in the movie is it's like whoever has the gauntlet can control what happens.
You know,
so I think, yeah, never mind.
You know, now that you're bringing it up, if there was more CO2 in the atmosphere, then a lot of life that still is around would be bigger. Like in the Carboniferous period, I guess, insects were much bigger.
All right, let's stop talking about science.
I was just about to say.
I don't think Avengers likes to talk about science a whole lot. Well, actually, this one kind of did talk about science a little bit, but we'll get to that later. The CGI looked pretty much the same as they do every other Marvel film, unless you guys noticed anything different.
Well, I think it looked better than in a few of the previous MCU films because, I don't know, like in Phase 3, some of their CG had gotten a bit worse. Black Panther, you pointed out, in its climax with T'Challa
Still love that movie, but...
and N'Jadaka, Killmonger, I'm using his real name, N'Jadaka, fighting on the train tracks. It looks very video game-ish.
Yeah.
And Infinity War, that also had flaws in the CG, but Thanos wasn't one of them.
Oh, Thanos looks so good. And the same for this movie, too.
I think they like to pay special attention to certain details of the CGI when it comes to like films that everybody's gonna watch and probably fall in love with, like a film like Endgame, and not so much for a sequel to an origin story like Thor: The Dark World or even Iron Man 3 for that instance. Would you guys agree?
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Do you think this film added anything new in terms of production design that we haven't seen before in a Marvel film?
Well, it's hard to say because we've seen so much of this universe, and without spoiling anything, we do visit some familiar places.
Yeah, I will say that. I really don't have a lot to say about the production design. I thought it was wonderful. I would give that a 10 out of 10. So I think we're just going to move on. After the break, we are going to talk about the 180-page screenplay of this picture. You're watching The Real Deal. Don't go away.
Pretty good today. Pretty good.
Yeah, I thought he called a pretty fair game.
Come on, man, that was a weak call.
Yeah, man, that ref is totally soft.
All right, crew, let's get started. Sure.
Don't ignore the law. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 days before any digging project so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811.
Welcome back to The Real Deal. We're critiquing Avengers Endgame tonight. This film was written by the writing team of Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely. These guys have written a number of MCU films. Let's talk about how well they did in our review of the screenplay. So guys, this movie is 3 hours long.
Yeah.
Guys, did it feel like 3 hours?
I think, to me, the second time around, I felt it slightly, but not really, no.
Honestly, it didn't. Like, it felt long in places, but I never felt it was 3 hours. It
No.
just breezed by most of the time, and if it was slow, it was for a reason.
Exactly.
To establish important character moments and in a non-boring way, of course, explain the different mumbo-jumbo behind all the technology in the film that's needed to work.
Yeah, I saw it Sunday night with our assistant producer, Thomas, and we were in the theater, and we were watching the film. We were really into the story, and then it was over, and I was like, that's it? That was 3 hours? My goodness. It was, the story was that good, the film was that engaging, that I just sat through it the whole way without going to the bathroom. It was incredible. A three-hour movie, I sat through, it didn't even feel that long.
Yeah, the first time I watched it, I drank a whole Mountain Dew right before, and then I went to the bathroom right before the movie. I was fine.
I didn't drink any fluids 6 hours before I watched it, so...
Fair enough.
That is the sign of a good writer, to make a film that long and not even feel that long.
Yeah.
But let's talk about characters development. We see a lot of changes among the characters since the last time we saw them in Infinity War. How do you think that affects the film?
It's really, really great. And, you know, I think the characters go in places you wouldn't expect. I certainly didn't expect some of the places the characters went in. Man, the way they pay off, you know, these characters' arcs that we've known for such a long time, it's so satisfying.
And it all makes sense, too,
Yeah.
with where they go with some of the characters. Like Thor, we can talk about certain character changes as long as it doesn't...
Anything, listen, don't spoil Endgame, so you can spoil Infinity War since that's been out for a year. People have had enough time to see it.
Yeah, okay, so let's just say there's a very good follow-up to Thor's failure to stop Thanos in the last film.
That's fair.
And Hulk's, or Bruce Banner's inability to control the Hulk does get a good payoff as well.
I love the Hulk in this movie.
Steve Rogers and Natasha Romanoff, Black Widow, they go through sensible character changes as well. And even characters that we haven't seen that much, or maybe we wouldn't have thought twice about before, like Clint Barton and Scott Lang, they get much more development or made much more interesting. And Scott, Ant-Man, of course, he gets a really good role in Endgame that helps the other Avengers out.
He really does.
And Rocket, like him from being the meanest Guardian, he actually gets a good role, sort of like a leader role. Almost.
You know, Rocket might be mean, but he does have a heart, and he's probably one of my favorite Guardians. If you have never seen any Marvel film, and then you walk into the theater to see Endgame, you're going to be really confused.
Yeah, don't do it.
This is a movie where you kind of have to know what goes on in the rest of the MCU. You have to see Iron Man, you have to see all the Captain Americas, you have to see the first 3 Avengers. You know, you're going to be really confused if you see Endgame having zero knowledge of Marvel.
Absolutely.
You think, is that a problem, do you think?
No, because the whole point of this was to build up this universe.
Yeah, this is a cinematic universe.
This is like the conclusion to this saga.
This is the first of its kind on this scale.
And that's why
there have been couple of previous cinematic universes before then, but this is the first one on such a grand scale. And of course, you have to see the others for all this to pay off. And let's just take one more quick note to note the most important character in this film, I think, who gets the best payoff, Tony Stark.
Tony Stark, yeah. You have to see Endgame to understand what we're talking about. But we need to take another break. When we come back, we are going to talk about this incredible ensemble cast, or rather, what's left of them. We'll be right back.
don't have to wear a uniform for service or sacrifice. Every day, ordinary Americans perform extraordinary acts of courage and selfless service. Please join us in recognizing citizen heroes who have made a difference in the lives of others through their acts of courage and selfless service in communities across America. Nominate a citizen hero today at themedalofhonor.com.
Are you thinking about buying medicine online? A search for online pharmacies yields more than 20 million results. But which ones can you trust? Medicines bought from unlicensed online pharmacies can be dangerous. You may get a fake drug, your condition may get worse, or you may experience a bad reaction. Don't put your health at risk. To learn how to find an online pharmacy that's safe and legal, visit fda.gov/BeSafeRx. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Here at WTOP, we pride ourselves on delivering you all the news you need to know from the day's events.
Whether it's happened on Capitol Hill or right here in Oswego,
we make sure you know all about it. We keep you up to date on all your favorite
Oswego and professional sports.
And our Storm Team 10 meteorologists will make sure that you know exactly what weather you're up against when you start your day.
Every Monday through Thursday night, make sure to tune in to Channel 10.2, because at WTOP, we don't just tell you the news.
We are
the news.
Welcome back to The Real Deal. We're critiquing Avengers Endgame this evening. This film went back to its roots and featured all of the original Avengers to fight Thanos in an epic film that closes the Infinity Saga. Let's talk about each of these Avengers in our review of the performances of the actors. All right, so let's see if I got the cast down. We've got Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth, Mark Ruffalo, Scarlett Johansson, Jeremy Renner, Paul Rudd, Don Cheadle, Brie Larson, Karen Gillan, Bradley Cooper, Danai Gurira, and Josh Brolin.
Danai Gurira, but yeah, you got it.
Incredible cast.
Yeah.
We see an ensemble cast like we do in Infinity War, in the original Avengers, in Age of Ultron. How well do you think these guys work well with each other?
Well, I mean, I think some of them give the best performances in this universe, especially Chris Hemsworth, Jeremy Renner, Chris Evans, and especially Robert Downey Jr.
Especially.
And Paul Rudd, too.
Yeah. We see some new Avengers that we didn't see in that much in Infinity War, like Paul Rudd as Scott Lang / Ant-Man.
And Brie Larson.
And Brie Larson as Captain Marvel.
Carol Danvers.
I was kind of disappointed that Captain Marvel didn't get as much screen time as I was anticipating. Plus, I think there was a lot of ex machina regarding her character.
I think so?
Yeah, like at the end of Infinity War, when Nick Fury summons Captain Marvel right before he disintegrates, it makes it seem like that she's gonna be this big-time, ultra-central character to Endgame. But honestly, I didn't get that feeling when I saw it.
They used her in very integral moments.
Yeah.
So I think they used her in a good way.
And of course, at the beginning with Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel. Like, they set it up like she's going to be really important, but surprisingly, she's out of the movie for a good period of time.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, she's also her performance wasn't bad, but it's notable that she's one of the least expressive of the Avengers.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Also, I guess that comes with being friends with the Kree race for so long and being isolated from her home planet.
Chris Evans as Captain America, he never disappoints. He's, I watched all the Captain America films, and he's just an incredible actor. His hero is pretty relatable.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Go ahead.
Makes you forget about his Fantastic Four movies.
Yeah, we don't need to go there.
Yeah. Well, I also want to say Scarlett Johansson. I couldn't not mention her because, I think she also gives probably her best performance in this franchise.
I do want to say Black Widow and Hawkeye, the two Avengers that we've never really that don't get as much of a rep as Iron Man or Captain America do, they did play a central role in this film, and that was really heartwarming to see.
Yeah,
they weren't just there. You know, they actually served to the plot more, and that was really beautiful to see.
I think it was mainly Clint that needed that upgrade more than Natasha, because she had been given a lot of dimension before. Winter Soldier really amped that up, and Civil War. But she and Steve Rogers weren't as focused on much in Infinity War, but they do make up for that here.
This movie makes me want to see a Hawkeye origin story. Do you guys want to see that?
Yeah, not really.
Sure. Well, I mean, I would, but I'd rather see more movies with Tony Stark, Bruce Banner, and the others, honestly. But of course, we're gonna have to see about that.
I think a Thanos origin story would be very interesting.
Well, they are thinking of making an Eternals movie that would feature Thanos, so we may get that.
Yeah, we don't see a lot of origin stories regarding villains. So I think this would be a very interesting twist, because Josh Brolin, no other person could play Thanos like Josh Brolin does.
No, and Thanos even looks a bit like Josh Brolin, honestly.
Thanos looks like Josh Brolin. He's portrayed by Josh Brolin.
Well, yeah, but you see a bit of Josh Brolin in his face, honestly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Same with like the Hulk and Mark Ruffalo, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But I don't know. I just want to break. You know, I love these characters, but like I want to see different stories. I really do.
Well, I do too, but.
All right, well, when we come back, we are going to step into the void, put on our Infinity Gauntlets, snap all the haters out of existence in our final reviews. Don't go away.
Disaster tips from the objects left behind.
My home wasn't insured, but you can check your insurance policy now to make sure you're covered. Oh.
My savings are lost, but you can put money aside and plan for unexpected disaster costs.
We're lost forever, but you can scan important documents now so they survive.
For more tips on how to prepare, visit ready.gov.
Hi, I'm Zachary Haynes. I'm the new host and producer of the new comedy sketch show, Acting Out, a comedy sketch show by college students for college students. You can check us out here on WTOP every other Sunday this semester on B weekends. Okay, I guess B weekends are down here now in the bottom left corner of your screen. Anyways, we got all sorts of great sketch. Okay, guys, what's going on with the set? What's going?
I got some Oxy after I hurt my neck. First, I took them to feel better. I didn't know they'd be this addictive. I didn't know how far I'd go to get more.
Opioid dependence can happen after just 5 days. Know the truth, spread the truth.
Welcome back to The Real Deal. We're critiquing Avengers Endgame tonight. Guys, is there anything else you want to say about Avengers Endgame?
Well, like I was saying, how it was monumental. I mean, nothing's ever been done like this before. And I mean, I give the credit to the world to all the writers in the MCU, but especially to, you know, Anthony and Joe Russo and Chris Marcus and Stephen McFeely. It's really phenomenal what they pulled off.
And Kevin Feige.
And Kevin Feige, of course. How could I forget? Oh, yeah.
Stan Lee.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Stan Lee.
Yeah.
You know, Endgame, I think, is making me a Marvel fan. I got to go back and see all the Marvel films now. Watch them all back to back to back to back to back to back to back for like 60 hours.
Yeah, and to think before you weren't a fan of superhero movies.
Marvel's changing my mind. What can I say?
See what it's doing? But
All
anyway, I think, I don't know, I think this is probably the Lord of the Rings, Return of the King of our generation. I think we were all alive when it came out, but we weren't old enough to see it.
Yeah.
But it's like...
We gotta wrap it up, Connor.
Yeah.
All right, it's time to step into the void for our reviews and IMDb ratings. Nathaniel, you are up first, my friend.
All right. Avengers Endgame serves as a wholly satisfying conclusion to what perhaps may be the most ambitious saga ever put to film, with some of the best action you'll ever see in a comic book movie, wonderful arcs for characters we've known for years, and a bittersweet ending that contains easily some of the greatest moments in the entirety of the MCU. Avengers Endgame is one of the strongest entries and a strong contender for my top 10 of 2019. I give it 9 out of 10 stars.
I know I didn't give my rating for Infinity War last year, so here goes. While not my favorite of the Russo's MCU films, it still offers incredible action and more interesting developments for most of the characters. Unbelievably, Thanos continues to break the curse of poor MCU villains and easily overtakes the film. Its climax shocks, and it shows the full scope of the world this franchise has developed. But now, wow. Just wow. Avengers Endgame really floored me. It delivers all of the emotional payoffs you'd expect from this franchise, and even some unexpected ones. It has one of the craziest final battles in any film ever that feels earned, unlike in some similar films. It is the most character-focused film in the MCU since Civil War, and it is easily the most heartbreaking superhero film since Logan. The Russos end their quadrilogy of MCU entries on the best note possible. 9 out of 10 stars for Infinity War, 10 out of 10 stars for Endgame, and 10 out of 10 parts for both of the Infinity Saga movies combined.
Avengers Endgame will have you hooked from minute 1 to minute 182. We see the same good old Avengers go through an incredible adventure that audiences can't get enough of. As a movie, there are a few flaws, but it's a great story with great characters. I don't want to cry because it's over. I want to smile because it happened. I give Avengers Endgame 8 stars. Next week is our season finale. We will not be critiquing a film. Instead, we will interview 3 cinema students who made short films for their senior thesis and talk about their work in our senior thesis showcase. So make sure you join us for that. Follow the show on Twitter, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Have a good night.
Hey, President Stanley, what's your favorite television station?
I don't know. Hey, guys, what do you think?
My family and friends are always with me, no matter where I may be. Sharing stories from home helps me sustain my recovery from my mental and substance use disorder.
Hi, sweetheart.
Join the Voices for Recovery. Our families, our stories, our recovery.
For confidential information on mental and substance use disorders, including prevention and treatment referral for you or someone you know, call 1-800-662-HELP. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Good evening and welcome to WTOP 10 Nightly News.
Total, Baldwin faces 32 charges.
Saturday, I went to Woodchuck Saloon.
Too much temperature change.
1310 meteorologist.
2 as well. Visions from Tanner Spink.
Go to 2 and 1.
2 with 6 and 10 on the year.
It's back and better than ever. One student can win up to $25 in cash. All on Oswego's favorite game show, Spin to Win! Every Sunday night at 9, only on WTOP 10 TV.